Welcome. Good morning. And welcome back to the Pop in Wrestling podcast with me, Coach 23, in a beautiful Friday morning. So, in the immortal words of Cody Rhodes, what do you want to talk about? But yeah, we are going to talk about this, what you're seeing here, the Wednesday Night War between NXT and AEW. So, as I said and discussed yesterday, NXT was preempted last Tuesday because of the US elections. So they went on a Wednesday night and had a head-to-head battle. So that's really segment per segment with against AEW's normal time slot of uh, on a Wednesday. So ratings already came out, and NXT won this one. So NXT had a total viewership of 619,000 viewership, and AEW had 523. So that's under 550,000 viewers last night or yesterday. So NXT won. Um, Here's the thing, and the discussion here is not just that. It's we're going to discuss about why fans should care about the business of a wrestling company, or well, let's say general in a whole. So, and I'm also going to dwell on the business here in the Philippines of why it's too difficult for like a wrestling show to be promoted here. So NXT, AEW, they know the history because 2018, 2019, 2018 when the first All In what happened, Tony Khan already like back Cody Rhodes, the Elite, Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega to start a wrestling venture or wrestling company, which is All Elite Wrestling. So I wouldn't say he asked, but of course he made like feasibility studies definitely about this. He asked his father, Shahid Khan, who is not really car manufacturer but auto parts manufacturing, owner, billionaire because of that, and they owned a football team in the U.S. for via the Jacksonville Jaguars and a football or soccer team in the UK, Fulham FC. So they backed the elite with the amount, according to reports, between 125 million to 150 million dollars to start a wrestling company. Because of course it's not cheap to start a wrestling company. A camera alone, I believe, the one that the WWE or AEW uses, are amounting like $10,000 to 50, and that's just the camera, the handheld camera or the cameraman used because of those are high definitions, really high tech. So it's understandable that a backing of a billionaire can really start a wrestling company, which is this AEW. TNA tried to do that early 2000s, but Jeff Jarrett like put like I believe according to his podcast like his life savings worth around like 600,000 to put up a TNA, and of course he asked a lot of investors as well. Then came along Dixie Carter, but TNA they have Tony Khan. So why people should be interested about the how business works on wrestling, or why ratings is important as well as right now, even the decline of the linear television, especially in the US. Simple. This is a simple answer. If fans just treat themselves as viewers and not consumers, there's that possibility that another wrestling company will close down. So what's the difference between a consumer, a wrestling consumer, and a wrestling viewer? A wrestling viewer just watch. A wrestling consumer pays. So whether he pays for PLEs, pay-per-views, streaming, merchandise, tickets, that's a consumer. And I'm not saying a viewer is not a consumer. A viewer is a consumer for the ads that, a wrestling show or even normal TV show, you know, have or has. So that's how important, that wrestling fans should treat themselves as consumers because, like I said, it happened late or early 2000s. WCW was in decline. Actually, it's not really that much of a decline. They're still gaining like 2 million viewers, but this was way back before downloading, illegal streaming, BitTorrents. Before that, they're still getting like millions of in viewership. And back then, I believe, uh, they changed the format that a point because back then they're using ratings instead of viewership. When they say ratings, like 1 point is equivalent to like 750,000 people. And back then, WCW was still getting like 2 point ratings or 3 point ratings against WWE's like 5, 6, 7 ratings. So millions of viewers are really still watching WCW back then. But afterwards, during that time, and maybe I will dwell on this on the fall of WCW topic. Uh, Turner Networks or Warner Brothers owned the Turner Networks, and they were about to merge with Time, the magazine Time, because I don't know, they have more money I guess than the Warner Brother Turner folks, and they merge, and they chose a new CEO, and the new CEO was his name was Jamie Kellner, said that WCW is on a decline. I don't want wrestling on my networks anymore, despite still bringing money, viewership, advertising, licenses. They were still doing that. So, but he said he doesn't want wrestling anymore, regardless. So, what happened? Because this was the time around maybe a year before 2001 when WCW was purchased by WWE that they didn't earn, but they were projecting to earn like $60 million or at least or so that year. Inflation right now maybe it's like 100 million or so, but they didn't earn it, so it was a loss. But they were still getting, advertising and stuff because they own the networks, they own the company, they own the shows. But like I said, Jamie Kellner said no more wrestling. Eric Bishop with Fusion Media was supposed to purchase WCW because on their belief, on their understanding, they can run it. So they're just going to purchase WCW with the understanding that WCW will still remain within the TNT networks, TBS networks. And like Jamie Kellner said, no more wrestling. It was a decision made. So Fusion Media and Eric Bishop said no because it doesn't make sense to pay for a company worth 50, 60, 70 million dollars and there's no network. They have to sign with a new network to produce their programming. And at the time, it was WWE was the brand name in wrestling because of the success of the Attitude Era. So Vince McMahon, according to reports, purchased WCW, its brand name, its licenses, the franchise itself, the tape library between Gene Crockett, WCW, among other, they purchased tape library, hence the WWE Network that you can remember when you can watch like old school wrestling. And because, like I said, they just purchased it, and along with that, they purchased contracts of the non-big, no, the mid cards to lower mid cards name because Vince McMahon was able to negotiate to purchase WCW between $1 million to $5 million. It was that cheap that he bought it. But like I said, he brought other contracts, contracts of like mid carders. I believe the bigger names that he was able to purchase based on contracts was Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, and Buff Bagwell. But he fired Buff Bagwell afterwards. He retained Booker T and DDP. The major names of in wrestling, people were asking me back then why there's no Goldberg, Sting, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Ric Flair, because they were under contract by Turner, by Time Warner Media. So they weren't owned by WCW. They weren't under contract by WCW. They were under contract by Time Warner. And if Vince McMahon purchased their contract, let's say for Sting, he's being paid $3 million. That's a lot of money still. So he didn't purchase the bigger names. He purchased ones that he can work on and build up. Hence the WCW, WWE, WC versus WCW, ECW storyline during the 2001. So wrestling folded. There was no wrestling, according to them. According to most wrestling fans within the internet wrestling community, WWE monopolized the wrestling business. But there were still like independent wrestling, but it's not as big as WWE. TNA came out. Then because of that, Jeff Jarrett found like investors, and until now, imagine this: 22, 23, almost 25 years, TNA is still around. Although it's not really as a bigger, not a bigger name. It's the guaranteed number three in the wrestling company in the world because they're still well known. But they're fighting for that number three spot between them, GCW, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Uh, so right now, that's why I keep telling fans, even the internet wrestling community, because Bubba Ray Dudley said it best on the Busted Open show. They should care, or even Eric Bishop said on the Eric Bishop interview, he said that they should care because if they don't care about the business of wrestling, and if a company fold, then they will just blame again the WWE. They will blame why did this happen? Why is business tanking? It's because of the consumer factor. No more is paying. Nobody's paying. That's why on our Worldwide Wrestling Society page, before that the Global Wrestling Pinas page on Facebook, every time that there's a PLE for WWE, I always keep mentioning, watch it via Disney Plus or whatever legal streaming that you use, whether it's Peacock, WWE Network, Disney Plus, because you're still paying. You're paying for that service, for that product. Meaning you're putting money, and of course, it's just like watching a movie. If you want to watch a movie in the theater, you have to pay for a ticket. Hence, revenue, profit for those companies, and it's your personal entertainment. So for me, I agree. I consider myself a consumer one because I buy a little bit of wrestling merchandise, toys, T-shirts, my streaming platform in Disney Plus and in Blast TV Tap Sports because I want WWE to or to keep showing their product here in the Philippines because back then there was like a period of time that WWE didn't have a product here for a short amount period of time. The Philippines is actually a big market in terms of fans, viewers, but not as consumers. People are like praying, oh, WWE is so big, they should, promote a show here. But it's not that easy because the producers are going to have a difficult time, promoting, selling tickets. I believe, uh, like in the US, unlike in the US when they have like 10,000, 20,000 seaters, sometimes they can adjust the number of tickets they can sell. It doesn't actually work here in the Philippines. If my understanding is correct, whether it's a MOA Arena, Araneta Coliseum, Philippine Arena, if ever, MOA Arena is like a 10,000, 15,000 seaters. Araneta Coliseum is probably the same, 20,000 seaters because of just even for like a normal PBA basketball finals, they can fill out like 16 to 20,000 people there. Imagine if there's a wrestling plus floor seats, that's a lot. But that's the thing, they weren't able to sell out most of their shows here between right now and between 2005 when they became big because of Batista being a Filipino American Greek. We Filipinos are like, if he's popular, he's one of us. They weren't able to sell out. They were able to sell out, but they weren't. It's not a sold out standing only. Like if like it's a 20,000 seater, they probably sold like six, 7,000, 8,000 seaters. And ringside tickets at the time, I believe until now, cost between 10,000 pesos to 15,000 pesos, which is like $300. So, and you have to pay for wrestlers. You have to pay for airfare. You have to pay for their hotel accommodations because it's not cheap. And there most like producers here in the Philippines, wrestling promoters here in the Philippines that try to do that aren't even able to get a profit because of that. And it sucks. Wrestling here in the Philippines, like I said, we're a big popular market. We watch, but that's it. Most of the fans here are still on a viewership mindset. I'll just watch. I'm not going to pay for anything. That's why most fans still are watching via illegal streaming. You can watch via Disney Plus. I know sometimes it sucks because of the ads and the commercials, but at least we're still providing them to continue their show here because we're watching their service. So even in the states, it's the same. Most of them were like, yeah, we don't care about the wrestling business. But if the business closed down, who can they blame but themselves because they're not shelling out. That's why even for me, as much as I bash AEW and its booking of its shows, I still want them to succeed because right now they're booking like 10,000, 15,000 seat arenas and they're only selling like 2,000, 3,000 tickets. It's a total loss for them. Sure, they're being backed by a billionaire, a son of a billionaire. They got their 185 million per year for the next 3 to 4 years, but it's not enough for them to be sustained as a business. And if their business tank, if their business fails, if people that don't really care about the ratings and such or the overall viewership, there's that possibility that another wrestling company might close down. And I know AEW people say AEW will not close down because they're like being backed by Tony Khan and the Khans who have like billions of dollars in their pocket. But if I'm a billionaire and this is just a startup and I'm losing money, I will not going to to shell out more because a real billionaire's mindset. If I have $1 billion, I'll make sure that I'll have two next year. I'll have three the following year. I have four. So it's a good glide path. And if you're losing money, there will be that mindset of it's not working anymore. Shut it down. Now another thing, the comparison of business between WWE and AEW is this. They're always saying that how long has been WWE is in business compared to AEW. Of course, there's like 30, 50-year history of WWE, but Vince McMahon owned WWE like 1981, early 1980s, when he purchases it from his father for like $1 million or so. So that's the amount of money he has. He put everything in WrestleMania 1 to be successful. If you saw the McMahon documentary on Netflix, said that we put everything on our basket, all our eggs in our basket, that if WrestleMania 1 didn't succeed, we're bankrupt, WWE will be no more. So that's how their marketing genius started. Now, during the last 3 years, people are saying between the wrestling community, internet wrestling community, so saying that AEW deserves $1 billion deal because they're AEW because of the market of wrestling. Because WWE is being paid like billions of dollars on Raw and SmackDown, or even with the WWE Network. And most wrestling fans say that AEW deserves the same thing. No, it's not. It doesn't. I'm not saying they are not going to deserve it within the next 10 years or so, but not right now. They haven't proven anything yet. Right now, WWE is experiencing a low on ratings with Raw and SmackDown. They're getting like 1.4 to 1.5 million viewers per year or per week. I'm sorry, and the highest ratings that AEW had was 1.4 when they debuted. Afterwards, it was a decline. It's a total decline. And right now, for more than a year, they weren't even getting like a million views. The last time they have is like more than a year and a half ago. So that's how long they reached that 1 million viewership. People are comparing that. Oh, they got AEW got 185, 188 million dollar deal per year. SmackDown is getting 205. Raw will be getting like 500 million next year. for Raw and the international market for Netflix. So there's no comparison really. And of course, that's the AEW mindset of let's talk trash against WWE because it's cool to talk trash against WWE. Chris Jericho said that during the pandemic, when he is seeing the decline of Raw's rating, oh look, in 3 to 6 months we'll be getting Raw ratings as well, 1.4 million viewers. Haven't reached that until now. Tony Khan, Triple H, I mean sorry, Chris Jericho said in an interview that my boss is richer than your boss when Vince was still working for WWE. He told that because Triple H said that congrats, they beat our developmental deal, although we just moved a day and not really NXT didn't really shut down. Congrats to AEW. But then Chris Jericho tweeted, that yeah, my boss is richer than your boss, which is like a lame ass 12-year-old, 9-year-old, rebuttal. And Tony Khan's another thing is there's no consistency within AEW. I mean, if I'm an owner, whether it's a million, 2 million, 3 million viewers to 500,000 viewers, I will still think or tweet the fans, thank you for watching. That makes me a better boss, better leader than, I'm just going to ignore that my ratings are tanking. My attendance uh, per show is tanking. It doesn't work that way. I know it's sad. It's sad to see that there's a decline in WWE even in AEW, but it's sad to see that. And yes, AEW is still here to stay because of the viewership, the deal that they have for the next 3 to 4 years. But there's still a lot of work needed to happen. Hopefully here in Manila, another story. There was like a couple of tweets that TJ Perkins, TJP, who's the current wrestler for New Japan Pro Wrestling, a Filipino American. He was the first ever cruiserweight champion after cruiserweight classics a few years ago. He said he's trying to bring a NJ New Japan Pro Wrestling show here in the Philippines. As much as I like New Japan Pro Wrestling, there's really no market for them here. Sure, we know him, we know Tajiri, we know Jeff Cobb because Jeff Cobb is also part Filipino, but there's no market for New Japan Pro Wrestling here. And like I said earlier, even though the local producers or promoter here in Manila who tried to promote WWE live shows here are they know that it's not profitable here unless Filipino fans starts to pay up and starts to act like like to treat wrestling as a consumer market because there are even podcasters. I'm not going to name names, but there's this person. I do as much as I want to say a bad word. I can't. He said that I hate Disney Plus because Disney Plus changed their viewership status for PLEs. Instead of keeping their PLEs on a replay, they're just showing it up live. And for me, as on a business mindset, I understand Disney Plus Philippines or Asia's mindset that one, server issues could be a problem. We cannot really store more data because if you look of how how big for a WrestleMania, for example, how big the data that it's need to save or to store. It's like if it's a high quality of 1080 to 2000 in terms of the graphics or whatnot, the interface or whatnot, it's around like 10 gigabytes. So it's a lot to store for for a streaming site. Uh, that's why Disney Plus was actually doing this, and that person even said that mag-torrent ka na lang, just watch it via torrent or download it via torrent. That's a BS attitude. If you're a podcaster, if you are a fan of wrestling, to say that instead of try to promote wrestling itself. And he even said Disney Plus is a mediocre. I have the screenshots. It's like a mediocre streaming site. Disney Plus is never mediocre. You have the Disney cartoons, Pixar cartoons, Star Wars, Marvel, and you even have WWE. You have Star channels like Koreans. Disney Plus is big. That's why they raised the prices. Even though I'm sad they raised the prices, I'm still a subscriber. It means like 520 pesos per month. I'm still a subscriber. I'm a subscriber of Netflix for 550 pesos a month. Subscriber Prime Video for 150. And now Max is coming here for 400 pesos. Again, I have to be a subscriber as well. So, because like I said, I want them to retain, that certain level of popularity and I want them to keep their lights on. For example, why did I create this podcast? It's not to monetize on it. Probably in the near future, hopefully. Because there are a lot of podcasters or YouTubers or vloggers say that it's not overnight. I'm not Cristiano Ronaldo that have like a million subscribers in like an hour. Kong TV, a popular YouTuber here or vlogger here in the Philippines, it took him half to almost a decade to have his success. And I'm not saying I want that same of success. Of course I do. I'm not going to be plastic about it. Not going to be. I'm not expecting 100 viewers immediately. Hopefully by next year to next year from now. Who cares? I like doing this for my own personal shit. But that's the thing. I'm still having that consumer mindset and I'm still a fan because I want NXT, I want WWE, AEW, TNA to succeed and keep their business. If I have to pay for their service, shit, I will pay for their service. As long as I have my money, my finances to work on, I'll be doing that. Most fans should be thinking that as well. If a company closed that, you don't have any other people to blame but yourselves. You don't have the right to call yourself a fan if you're not well, if you're not well enough, if you're not, open enough to spend. As I said, here's another difference between WWE and the parent company, or not the parent network or parent owner of AEW, Warner Brothers Discovery. Stock price of course, in valuation is different. Uh, TKO Group, which owns the UFC and WWE, their valuation right now is between 25 billion dollars. It's a B, $25 billion to $30 billion. For those two or three, I believe professional bull riding again, they add up to their portfolio. That's how they're valued. Warner Brothers or Warner Media was valued at 75 billion a few years ago before they were purchased or acquired by Discovery. And earlier this week to last week, a month ago, it was reported that Warner Brothers Discovery lost like more than $10 billion in 1 year or 1 quarter, I believe. I don't know. I forgot the news. And here's another thing. They were valued 75 billion back then. Now they're valued at around 59 to 60 billion. That's $15 billion lost. And their stock price right now is around, it's not even $10 per stock. TKO is selling like $112 per stock. So it's like 5,000 pesos or so here. And you can purchase a stock of WBD for like 500 pesos. So that's a big difference in terms of, how I know it's not money. I know, say, we're just paying them off. Yeah, you're paying them because you want to be entertained. Why not pay for it, right? Why still download illegal streaming sites, or why watch in illegal streaming sites? I know it's practical for the viewers, but you can't call yourself consumers if you're just doing that. So that's why if more Filipinos are watching this, more Filipinos can share this word. This is how you keep the lights open for us to have them, you know, keep their lights on to still provide our own personal entertainment. So that's our topic for the Wednesday night NXT AEW War and the wrestling business. Hold on for a couple of, seconds, and we will talk for another topic. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I lag. So yeah, another topic that we discussed. It was supposed to be a bonus episode, like maybe 2 days ago, that I wasn't able to do. Uh, we're here to talk about the BPO industry. I'm going to put my here in the middle because it's a different topic now. So back scratcher. So the thing is, I've been, I had, I had worked for the BPO business industry for well over 15 to 16 years, so a decade and a half. I worked for the industry where when it wasn't even called a BPO company, it was still called a call center. Because back then, when even today, until today, when people say, "Oh, are you working in a call center? You're just working in a call center." It's kind of insulting to me because there are certain levels, even professions. My son is laughing at Bluey. Profession that a BPO agent, especially those top tier agents, who are earning more than a certain profession. I hate to compare this. I'm sorry, but my sister and my brother-in-law are teachers, but there were certain call center or contact center representatives are earning initially. Maybe you have like 6 months or to a year experience. They're earning like 24, 25,000 per month. Depends on the account and the company. And teachers are the initial salary of a teacher is around 21 to 22,000. So that's still a difference. So there are like people still working, especially to those who are like working in a corporation. Ah, you're just working in a call center. That's really insulting. You don't insult a person's well-being or how that person earns his money, especially if that person is earning money in a right way. A lot of my friends, or not even friends, or a lot of people, even when I was a team leader, I was doing interviews, final interviews for them to work on the company, whatever company I was working with, and they really want to work in a normal question, even though I know it was asked like two or three interviews before me. Why do you want to work for a BPO company? Why did you leave your former profession? And they normally 99% they will always say because of the salary. Uh, most people are working for a convenience store, a fast food chain. I interviewed once who was a teacher, and when I asked that person, why are you leaving your profession as a teacher to work as a call center agent or a contact center agent? That's my kid. It's not a ghost. It's my kid. Um, and they say because of the salary. And back then, that teacher wasn't didn't pass the board exam or the let back then, let exam. So her salary was around bare minimum or almost like a minimum wager. It sucks to be fair, but like okay, that's fine. I believe I hired that girl at the time, so that's the reason why. Now the BPO life is not really that easy as well because you really have to maintain yourself physically and mentally, emotionally healthy, financially healthy as well. But I can give you like tips and tricks in order for you to to succeed. So just like I earlier about the wrestling business, I know it's not an easy task. It's like a gradual advancement for you to succeed in the BPO industry. It's not like I deserve to be paid 50,000 as a team leader because I was a team leader before. Doesn't really work that way. Even team leaders have to to work in order for us to succeed or earn more. So for those who are trying to work, how to ace an interview for a BPO, I have a couple of tips and tricks for you to do. Because most of the time, even interview, especially if you don't have, an experience, because of course you have, in order for you to gain experience, you need to have experience. There are times that people, just because I can talk and speak in English, I can ace an interview. Doesn't work that way as well. So if this is for the newbies, don't have an experience, college graduates, whatever, if you're watching, this will help you. One, if you know you're having difficulty in speaking in English or how to gain a little bit more confidence, don't be too overconfident, especially if you know how to speak, because it will definitely you will not ace the interview as well. Before that, this is for the newbies doesn't have an don't have experience or whatnot, have the difficulty of confidence in talking or speaking in English. You have your phone, whether you have your touchscreen smartphone or you have your phone normal phone that has a that have a or has a recorder. Read a chapter or at least a page on an English book. Record yourself, and after you record it, listen to it, and that you will see what are your mistakes are, or how you will say some things, because I did the same thing. Although for me it's not more on a call recording. I just look in a mirror one time and I was talking in English. So that's what I did in order for me to build my confidence. Second tip I can give you is don't think in Tagalog or Filipino or whatever language or dialect you have. Think on Always think in English. Because if you're going to think in Filipino, Tagalog, or whatever dialect you have, you're going to translate it, and that in a way that's a lag. For example, an interviewer will ask you, "Why do you want to work for our company?" And if you're going to formulate using your dialect on your head and translate it to English, it could be a markdown. Because most interviewers, I'm spilling the tea. Most interviewers are they want you to be spontaneous. They want you to answer that fast, a beat of the heart, or maybe 1, 2, or 3 seconds. That's it. Because if you're like thinking like then you answer, it could be a markdown, like I said. And also by thinking in English, it helps you minimize or totally messed up. No, I'm sorry. It will totally eliminate the filler words like I want to work for your company because sometimes I use this as a pause. I will even admit to that, but that's what's happening right now. I talk fast, but I hate to watch or listen to myself. But I was watching former my first when I first my first episode of this vlog or podcast. I had a lot of filler words because it was the first time in a long time that I was talking in English. Then day after day of me doing the episodes, I was gaining my confidence or getting my confidence back. And now I don't think that I have a lot of filler words anymore. Good for me because because the last time I worked for a BPO company was early last year, I believe. So that's 2023, and I have been a freelancer. I was a freelancer during that time because it was my sideline. It's my sideline now, or it's now actually my main work, and I'm not on the phones. My job, I work as a freelancer as a financial analyst. I don't need to talk to anyone. I just talk to my boss when we have meetings, but it rarely happens. Maybe once in like 2 or 3 months when he needs me to do something more, and he will teach me how to do it. So that's it. Record yourself, think in English. Those will help you gain your confidence more. Because if there are a couple or few things in life that coaches or trainers or mentors cannot teach, in athletics, it's speed. You cannot teach a person how to be fast. In business world, it's confidence because you cannot really teach confidence. Confidence have to come from you. We as coaches, as team leaders, we help you to be confident. We teach you like this: read books, watch TV shows, pick a person in order for you to copy, so you can how you talk or how you can ace an interview. I On my first interview, I copied Vince Vaughn. Who's Vince Vaughn? Old school. He's the friend of Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell. Vince Vaughn. Vince Vaughn. What movie? Jurassic Park. Lost World Part Two. Jurassic Park. Part Part Two. Lost World. Vince Vaughn. If you're a wrestling fan, he was the trainer wrestling with my family. The Page Saraya story. He was a trainer there. Be cool. He was like the Rock's partner. He talks fast. He talks like, let me tell you something. I'm going to speak right this. That's how fast I talk fast. I know I talk fast still now, but back then when I was doing my interview on the first company that hired me, I talk like that fast. Until I copied Barney, copied Eric Murphy from Entourage and how they speak because they speak slowly. I even copied Ari Gold, Jeremy Piven. He was the person based on Ari Emanuel, and they talk so fast, and they told me don't talk too fast. That's why the best part of those reading books, watching TV shows, reading books, thinking in English. The best part is really thinking in English because you don't need to translate. You're thinking in English, and when it comes out to your mouth from your mouth, then you're speaking in English. Another probably the last tip I can provide you is before you apply, whether you're a newbie or even if you're already a BPO veteran, is do your research within the company for the company or to the company that you're about to apply to. Because it works. Whether you know there because it's watch more YouTube testimonials about those companies, read testimonials on Facebook about those companies. Word of mouth is also important. Then afterwards, you formulate your own grading system and you be the judge for it if it's for you or not. Because those are the things that sometimes hit the attrition meaning, people leaving a company or BPO company is because they say it's a good company but it's not really a good one. I'll leave. So that's it. So yeah, those are the first tips and tricks I can provide you guys in terms of how to ace an interview. Like I said, number one, uh, record yourself, read the book, record yourself, watch TV shows or movies, pick a person that you can copy that you know can speak well. Uh, I forgot the other one. No, I don't. I didn't. Think in English, which is for me the best of the four, and do your research and be the judge for it. Those four guidelines will help you enough to ace an interview because especially the last part of doing your research, you attack or you apply for a position in a company. Final interviewer, initial interviewer, second interviewer, final interviewer will definitely ask you, "Do you have any questions for me?" Then when you do your research or do your research, that you can ask. You can even ask people, interviewers. I don't think they will mind, but you will surprise them. Why are you hiring guys? Why are you keep hiring guys? Most of them are saying that we have a new account or our account is growing. But you can even ask them, are people leaving you? Maybe that's the reason why. If they say yes, then that's no, normally they will not say no. But yeah, you can ask them, why are you people hiring? Is it, a good account is growing or not? Most of them will say yes. So those are my tips and tricks and how to ace an interview. Then maybe next time I will teach you what do you think is the best account or campaign for you because I've worked for a lot of campaigns as well. My favorite is debt collections. I work for customer care. I work for as a sales one. Uh, I was a fraud analyst as well. But once I gather my bearings about those campaigns, I will definitely teach you or also provide you my insight on how to work on those campaigns. So yeah, thank you guys for watching and listening in this very Friday gloomy Friday. It's a weekend. I don't have work tomorrow, but I have work tonight. Uh so thank you for watching the Pop and Wrestling podcast with me, Coach 23, where we talk everything about pro wrestling, pop culture, and life in general. So thank you guys, and you have a good weekend.